ever just like vanish for hours into one of those old school 2D worlds, grinding levels, fighting cute monsters. Maybe it was MapleStory?
Oh, yeah.
Well, imagine that same vibe, that nostalgia, but suddenly it's mashed up with all this new blockchain tech.
It's kind of a wild mix, isn't it? Taking those classic online game memories and throwing in something completely new like blockchain. It's definitely a new direction.
Exactly. So welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping headfirst into MapleStory Inn. It's this totally new version of the classic MMORPG MapleStory. We want to figure out, what's different and how it fits into this bigger thing they're calling the MapleStory universe.
Right. And whether you were like totally obsessed with MapleStory back in the day, or maybe you're just curious about where games are heading with these new models, well, this should get you up to speed. We've been digging through Reddit threads, gaming news sites, even some of those crypto-focused publications.
Yeah, trying to get the full picture. So our mission today is pretty simple. Break down what MapleStory Inn actually is, explain the key bits, and figure out why you might actually find it interesting, or, maybe not. Okay, let's start with MapleStory itself. That name, for a lot of us gaming in the 2000s, it's huge. It even got massive in places like Thailand, remember?
Absolutely. That nostalgia hit is definitely part of the appeal for MapleStory Inn. They've kept that classic 2D side-scrolling thing going. The interface looks pretty much the same, that cartoony art style we all recognize.
And the starting classes are back too, right? The explorers,
Yeah.
warrior, magician.
Bowman, thief, pirate, yeah. All the originals. And just like you remember, you can level them up, get those second job advancements. Looks like 12 of them planned.
Okay, so the base is familiar.
Right, but, and this is important, while it looks classic, the actual game content, the systems running underneath, they've apparently changed quite a bit. It's not just a re-release. Think of it as an evolution.
Gotcha. And MapleStory Inn, it's not just its own thing, is it? It's part of this bigger project.
Exactly. It's sort of the main event in this larger MapleStory universe. That's a project from Nextbase, but, with Nexon's backing.
Okay, so what else is in this universe?
Well, looking at the bigger picture, MapleStory Inn is like the core game, but they've also talked about other parts like MODN, which sounds like a sandbox platform, maybe for player creation.
Interesting.
And something called the NSDK, which apparently lets people use the NFTs from the game in like other apps or projects.
Okay, so MapleStory Inn is the game you play, but it connects to these other creative tools and platforms. Right. Let's get into the bit that's probably causing the most chatter. The NFTs and the blockchain stuff. Always a bit controversial in gaming.
Yeah, it definitely brings up questions. The developers seem aware of that, though. They've said you can basically play MapleStory Inn, enjoy the main game, without getting super deep into the NFT system if you don't want to.
So it's not like mandatory from level 1?
Doesn't seem like it, no. The core gameplay loop is separate.
Okay, so how does it work then? You hit a certain level, level 30, and then you can mint your character. What does that mean?
Right. Level 30 seems to be the gateway. Minting your character basically registers it on the blockchain. That's what opens the door to the NFT features and the marketplace.
And there's in-game money involved. Two kinds.
Yeah, so first, you've got Nesselit. This is what you earn just by, grinding monsters in the game. Standard MMO stuff.
Okay.
Then you can convert that Nesselit into Niso. It's a one-to-one swap, and they're saying no fees for that conversion, which is kind of nice.
And Niso is what you use on the marketplace.
Exactly. This player-owned marketplace is where you can buy and sell items, the ones players have minted. They'll have like a little cloud symbol, apparently, and even whole characters, all using Niso. They even mentioned some kind of AI to help suggest prices, make it easier.
Okay. But the really big change here, no item mall. Like no cash shop selling power-ups or whatever.
That's what they're claiming, yeah. No direct package sales either. Their entire revenue, supposedly, comes from taking a cut of the transactions on that player marketplace.
Wow. That really changes the incentives, doesn't it?
Totally. It means they need the player economy to be buzzing, to be fun and active, because that's how they make money. It's not about selling you items directly.
Right, that's NASO. But there was another one, NXPC.
Right, NXPC. This one sounds a bit different. It seems geared more towards people who want to create things within the MapleStory universe, like if you're using MODN or buying assets from this Nextbase item pool they mentioned.
So if I'm just playing MapleStory and grinding levels, maybe trading some gear, I don't really need to mess with NXPC.
Probably not. Seems less relevant for the average player just focused on the main game.
And they have some system for this NXPC, Fusion Fission. Sounds complex.
Yeah, it sounds like a way to convert between the NXPC token itself and some kind of collectible NFTs. The idea, I guess, is to help manage the supply and value in the economy, keep things somewhat stable.
Okay, interesting mechanic. And tied into that idea of value is limited items.
Yes, limited item generation. This is another big one. They're saying the total number of each specific item that can exist on a server will be capped.
Capped, like forever.
That seems to be the implication. The goal is clearly to create scarcity, make items rarer over time, which, in theory, boosts their value on that player marketplace.
That's very different from classic MMOs where stuff just drops endlessly and loses value.
Exactly. It could create a very different feel for the economy, maybe more focused on long-term collecting and trading of genuinely rare things.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. Away from the blockchain stuff, what about just playing the game? Are there improvements compared to, say, older MapleStory versions? Because, let's be honest, some parts of old Maple could be a drag.
Oh, yeah. And digging into what people are saying, like on Reddit, it looks like MapleStory N is bringing a ton of quality of life updates, stuff people have wanted for ages.
Like what? Give me the highlights.
Okay, first, big one. No more item expiration. Your gear sticks around, except for, temporary things like those vacuum pets that suck up loot.
Oh, thank goodness. And pets.
No feeding required for pets either.
Hallelujah. That alone is huge. What else?
Managing money is way easier. There's going to be like a dedicated coin window. You just use your currency from there. No more juggling 50 different coin items in your inventory.
Nice. Simple but needed.
And clothing. No more gender restrictions.
Finally. Mix and match whatever you want.
Exactly. Total customization freedom there.
Okay, keep them coming.
Get this. Free and unlimited world transfers.
Seriously. Unlimited.
Seems like it. There are small things like you gotta leave your guild first, but yeah. Makes playing with friends on different servers way easier.
That's massive for community building. Removes a huge barrier.
Uh-huh. And remember all those useless etc. items cluttering up your inventory after every fight?
Oh god, yes. Stacks and stacks of junk.
Mostly gone. They've streamlined it into a general other tab, mainly for quest items. No more carrying 50 snail shells you don't need.
Inventory management is sounding way better.
Definitely. And even things like repetitive quest drops, like farming those Eyes of Fire for Zakum. Instead of dropping items you have to juggle, they're apparently using interactive points. Just click the thing, get what you need, less tedious.
Smart. Less grindy for those routine tasks.
And your appearance items, faces, hair, even damage skins, they're becoming permanent items. You can trade them. And they get their own inventory slots so you don't accidentally drop your favorite look.
Whoa, trading hairstyles. That adds a whole new layer to the economy, the fashion story side.
Right. And even small things like being able to pick which throwing stars you use first, better organization. Old content's getting updates too, like those Friends Story outfits. Apparently you'll be able to buy them with in-game cash, not just temporary skins.
It sounds like they've really listened to player feedback over the years.
It does. And they're adding new systems too, like set bonuses for collecting gear, elect 10 unique items in a set, get a stat boost, really pushing that fashion story angle as part of actual progression.
Putting all this together, it feels like they couldn't have just patched this into the old game, right? Like the underlying code must be quite different to allow all these changes.
That's a really good point. Yeah, the technical debt in older versions probably makes implementing some of these QOL things, especially the inventory and item changes, incredibly difficult. Building fresh lets them bake it in from the start.
Makes sense. All right, so the big question, when can people actually play this?
Okay, the official global launch date for the whole MapleStory universe, which includes MapleStory N, is set for May 15th, 2025.
May 15th, 2025. Got it. Any preload?
Yep, you can start pre-downloading it from May 8th, 2025. Gives you a week to get it ready.
Okay, now, global launch, but is it really global? I heard some things.
Yeah, there's a catch. While they're calling it a global service, it seems like MapleStory N won't be available in some key regions at launch. Apparently due to regulations. We're talking the US, the UK, Japan.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of players cut out. Is there a workaround? VPN, maybe?
People on Reddit are definitely talking about using VPNs. But, that always comes with risks. Could be against the terms of service, might get banned, something to be careful with.
Right. Use at your own risk. And platform. Just PC.
At launch, yes. It's launching on PC only.
Keeps it traditional Maple, I guess.
Seems like it. Probably easier to manage initially, stick to the core platform.
Okay, so given all this NFT stuff,
Yeah.
You mentioned the community reaction. It's probably pretty mixed, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of divided, which you'd expect whenever blockchain enters a beloved, established game.
What are the arguments? What are people saying?
Well, on one side, some players see the potential upside, like maybe NFTs make trading characters or rare items easier, more secure, more legitimate.
Yeah.
If you've ever tried to sell a high-level account before, you know it can be sketchy. NFTs could streamline that.
Yeah, I can see that argument. A more transparent system for high-value digital stuff.
Potentially, yeah. Creates a clearer sense of ownership and maybe a safer way to trade those assets.
But the downsides, what are the worries?
The big concerns are definitely there. People worry that combining NFTs with that limited item generation we talked about, could it just become super pay to win or just an endless grind fest where the only goal is to get rare NFTs to sell?
Right. Is the game fun or is it just speculation?
That's the fear. Finding that balance between fun gameplay and this potentially speculative NFT economy, it's tough. A real challenge for the developers.
Are people comparing it to other crypto games?
Some are, yeah. You hear arguments like, well, compared to some other blockchain games out there, MapleStory N's approach seems more thought out, maybe less predatory. And the fact they put out that webtoon explaining the tokenomics,
Yeah, you mentioned that.
it suggests they're at least trying to be transparent about how the economy is supposed to work, which is something.
And you don't have to engage with the NFT stuff until level 30, right?
Correct. That gives you a decent chunk of playtime to just experience the game itself, see if you like the core mechanics before deciding if you want to mint your character and dive into the marketplace and NFTs.
So like a trial period for the blockchain stuff, almost.
Kind of, yeah. An on-ramp. You judge the game first, then the economy.
Okay, let's talk about getting started. There was some pre-launch event, the Gear Up NAW thing. It's over now, but what did it involve might give us clues about future events.
Right, exactly. Looking at past events can tell you a lot. The Gear Up event ran until late December 2024. It's pretty standard pre-launch stuff, honestly.
Like daily logins.
Yep, daily check-ins. Plus, you'd hunt monsters to get these special Pioneer daily check-in boxes. And there was a thing where you collected letters, MAPLESTORY, for daily quests.
Classic collection quest. What were the rewards?
A mix of useful stuff and cosmetics, things like EXP coupons to level faster, name tickets if you wanted to change your name, some of that NXPC creator currency unlocks for item transfers, also a pet, some cosmetic gear, and even a unique in-game title or name.
And could you keep this stuff for the real launch?
Yeah, that was the hook. Rewards you earned and characters that hit certain milestones like level 100 with the 4th job done could be transferred to the official game servers when they launch. Big incentive to play early.
Makes sense. Any other pre-launch rewards mentioned?
There was also an event on OpenSea, the NFT marketplace, where they gave out SBTs, that's soulbound tokens. Think of them like achievement NFTs you can't trade, tied to your account. And yeah, all the rewards from the earlier tests, they had a couple of Pioneer tests before Gear Up, plus the Gear Up rewards, are all supposed to be transferable to a specific spot in-game. Hennessy's L1, ready for when MapleStory Universe and N properly launch.
So they're trying to tie all these phases together, reward people who stuck around.
Seems like it, yeah. Building that early community.
Cool. What about the tech side? What's running underneath all this?
Okay, so the MapleStory Universe is built on the Avalanche blockchain. It's a layer 1 chain. And they're using something called Ava Cloud to power it. The goal there is, fast transactions, scalable for lots of players doing NFT stuff.
Is Avalanche known for being good for games?
It's one of the chains positioning itself for that, yeah. Focused on speed and handling high transaction volumes, which you definitely need for a game marketplace.
And did the early stuff attract attention, those NFT campaigns?
Apparently, yeah. The numbers they released from that OpenSea campaign were pretty big, over 1 million NFTs created, and they claimed it set some kind of record for unique wallet activity on Avalanche at the time.
So definitely some initial hype around the NFT side.
For sure. And one last technical bit, this synergy apps idea.
Right, you mentioned that briefly. Player-created stuff.
Yeah, the long-term vision seems to include letting players build their own mini-games or even decentralized apps within the MapleStory Universe ecosystem, using the assets, maybe the NFTs.
Wow, that's ambitious. Like Roblox meets MapleStory on the blockchain.
Kind of, yeah. It's a really interesting potential future for the platform, letting the community expand the world themselves. Could really extend its life if it works out.
Okay, wow. So let's try and wrap this all up. MapleStory N is trying to be the classic MapleStory we remember, but with a bunch of modern fixes, those quality of life updates people wanted.
Right, smoothing out the rough edges of the old game.
But then layered on top, or maybe woven through it, is this whole blockchain element. NFTs, player-owned marketplace, limited items, the whole MapleStory universe concept.
Exactly. And we've touched on the potential upsides, maybe real ownership of your items, a truly player-driven economy, new ways for people to get creative in that universe.
But also the concerns are still there, right? The NFT debates, the pay-to-win worries, and those launch restrictions in major regions.
Yeah, those are definitely things the community is watching closely and things the developers will need to navigate carefully after launch.
So it really leaves you wondering, doesn't it? This whole deep dive. How are other big established games going to handle this stuff? Are we going to see more franchises try to blend blockchain into their worlds?
It's a huge question for the future of gaming, really. What does player ownership actually mean in these contexts? How will these economies evolve?
Definitely something to think about. We'd say, keep an eye on MapleStory Universe. Maybe check out that webtoon they made and see how this all shakes out when it launches next year. Form your own opinion.